Americans across the nation continue to show gratitude to medical workers, first responders, police officers, and healthcare workers on the front line of the pandemic. And we're also seeing those efforts in Congress in the form of a bill. The Helping Emergency Responders Overcome Emergency Situations Act of 2020, or HEROES Act for short, would exempt them from federal taxes as long as they're working to stop the spread of the virus. Joining us now is one of the co-sponsors of the HEROES Act, Congressman Denver Riggleman, who represents Virginia's 5th Congressional District. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Stephanie. How are you this morning?
I'm great, thank you. Now, you point out how this legislation was inspired by the tax holiday military service members receive while they're actively serving in a combat zone. So how would this legislation work if passed and signed?
Sure. So it gives a 4-month, and this could be extended, by the way, Stephanie, but a 4-month tax holiday for first responders. That could be nurses, nurse practitioners, EMT workers, anything like that. So what this does, 4 months, you get a tax holiday that can be extended based on how long the pandemic lasts. So Bill Huizenga from Michigan gave me a call. I think I was one of his first. So what do you think about a bill that would actually have a tax holiday or a federal tax exclusion based on combat pay for those who are serving in combat zones? And I thought it was a wonderful idea, Stephanie. So I immediately signed on to it, and I think it's the right thing to do.
And I don't know about where you are, but there's that HEROES, or rather the thank you hour, where everyone from all different neighborhoods are coming together, clapping, thanking healthcare workers on the front line of that. Now, let me ask you this. In a speech to the House floor Thursday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the next bill to be introduced will be what she dubbed the HEROES Act. But this is actually different from what we just talked about. So what can you tell us about this?
So the HEROES Fund is a pot of money that's going to go to frontline workers. I think it's up to $25,000. I don't know if that idea came from Bill Huizenga and us on the HEROES Act. I'm not quite sure. But the HEROES Fund, or what she called the HEROES Act, is a pot of money that would go to them, not a tax exclusion. So that's the difference in these. And I think it's sort of glomming on pretty quickly into what we were trying to do on our side with the HEROES Act. And, you talked about people clapping, Stephanie. In New York, my brother is actually one of those first line or frontline responders. He's in the critical care nurse in Northern Virginia. So this hits me close to my heart. So that's why I think this is so important to help those who are helping us. It really is about protecting our first line of defense against this.
Now, when do you expect that this bill would be passed or voted on?
I would hope sooner rather than later. We would hope the HEROES be added, to any type of next phase, of a coronavirus bill, but also it could be a standalone legislation, which we hope to get through. Hope it gets passed sooner rather than later, because we want those individuals to take advantage of those tax exclusions from February through to when the pandemic ends. So we're going to push pretty hard. We do have Democrats on this bill, which is very encouraging. So I do think we can get this bill to the floor, but I hope it passes sooner rather than later. And we're going to be working that here the next week to see if we can get on the.
Always good to hear about some bipartisanship. Now, let me ask you, I want to touch on another topic related to the coronavirus, and that is a letter that you and Congressman Jim Banks penned to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, urging the U.S. to take hold China accountable to the International Court of Justice over its handling of the coronavirus outbreak. What sort of action and outcome would you like to see happen?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I think that there's going to be some financial issues that we have in the United States based on China's handling of the coronavirus. So I think you're going to see some punitive issues that we look at, especially me and Jim and others that were on the letter. The other thing, too, is my background was China, right? I did that in the Pentagon and the Office of Secretary of Defense. I was a senior consultant for electronic warfare and countermeasures. And what angers me is that China hasn't been held accountable for their actions at this point. And I know a lot about China. So does Jim. So does many people in this letter. There comes a point where we have to hold people accountable. And a lot of that is saying, hey, China, you did this. These are the things that we think that we need to do in order to hold you accountable for this. So again, this is we're going down that path where we have to stop our reliance on some manufactured goods from China. We have to hold them accountable for really a closed society where they're not giving the exact data that we need in order to fight the coronavirus. And that's what happened at the beginning. And that's why you see some of this anger and frustration by
Congressman Denver Riggleman. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Thanks, Stephanie, and you take care of yourself.
Thank you, you too.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.